Hi everybody, I'm Bill Sanders and this is Watch Art Sci, the art and science of watch collection. Today I'm going to start off with an unboxing and talk about what's in the box. Here it is. It's one of these nice compact boxes. I ripped off the bottom part so I can open it. Won't take all day, so let's get going here. First of all, this may look familiar to you. This is a watch that has been to the eBay evaluator. When I first got it, and I still have it like this, I don't know if you can hear it or not, but it was rattling and it scared me to death. So anyway, so let's see what was rattling in here. Turns out that they have some stuff, they have some paperwork, and none of the original paper work came with it, but they have this little card, and what is on the card is the information about the watch, and it's got the name and the reference number and a bunch of other stuff, plus the serial number. So it's got everything I need, and then it's got a little thing here I can take with my camera and it'll show up on my camera. So anyway, that's what that is. So that was what the rattling was after all. Anyway, I'll put it back here. I'm going to keep this. This is nice to have because I don't have any of the other paperwork. Okie doke. So that's one thing. Then they say, do you have a luxury item to sell? And I guess you can sell it on eBay. I haven't tried that yet, but not a bad idea. This is some other little card with information. And this is the official, I guess, invoice or whatever it is. Okay, enough of that. Let's take a look and see what the watch is. And then I would like to take some time and talk about it. Okay, hang on, here it goes. One of the things about this box is that you can see it's sort of in a little it's got a little hole here, and this sort of mini case goes in it, and so it's an extremely good shipping box. And so I got a nice little shipping box along with a sort of a suede case, and you open it like this, and then this comes down. And so let's see what I got here. Should I show it? Whoops. Great. I'll break it right away. This is a Vacheron Constantin Mercator, and it's a watch I never thought I'd get my mitts on. So that's what I'd like to talk about now. So we'll take a closer look at the Mercator and the namesake Geraldus Mercator. Well, my watch survived the unboxing, and dropping my watch as soon as I opened it just wasn't much fun. Anyway, let's talk about the Vacheron Constantin Mercator. It's a very, very different watch. At the way the hands are, this is a map that is a replica, I guess, of a Mercator map, or simply a print of one of his, a copy of a print, really. Is that this thing, the way the hands are, they look like a fork, but it's a compass. There's two types of compasses, or two things that are commonly called compass. One is a round one that you look at, and one has north, east, west, and south, and so forth. And the other is used in maps, and it's sort of a fork thing, and you take it and you measure you sort of walk different places, or you have put it on an index or a legend to figure out how far something is. And what Vacheron Constantin did is that they said, well, we're going to make in 1994 is the 400th anniversary of the death of Geraldus Mercator. So they thought, we're going to have a watch. This would be a time to have it. And then, well, let's make it as much like his as possible. And to me, I think they did a magnificent job. I couldn't be happier with it. The case is 36 millimeters. Now, 36 millimeters, I've got a 7-inch wrist, and I'm used to wearing 40 millimeters, 39, 40, 41, somewhere in that neighborhood. 36 in this particular watch works fine. I say in this particular watch because some watches were big, some small. I have some 42 inches or 42 millimeter watches that wear very small, and so I can wear them without a problem. And this one with the lugs, certainly beyond the 36 millimeters, works like a champ. The way in which the dial is created, they use acid etching on it, and so they make the different maps and so forth. This map, the map that they have on this one, is one of Europe, Africa, and Asia, so it covers a lot. Down at the bottom, I suppose you can also see that sort of the mass down there is Antarctica. And it also looks like it's part of a Mercator projection. I'll talk about that in a little bit. And so there was another interesting thing. Giraldus Mercator was among the first to use a more decorative italic lettering. Most of the lettering was this heavy Roman lettering on maps, but he was also a calligrapher, and so he liked to put some of the calligraphy on the map, and you can see it right between the forks on the picture there. So all of these little elements that they put into this watch have just been really nice to see. Now on the back, you can see the movement. They have it's got this, half of it is covered by a rotor, but that's to be expected. The caliber is a Vacheron Constantin 1120/2. It's an extra thin. It's considered an extra thin movement, and it's you can see it's pretty thin watch, and it's got a gyro max balance in it, and it's based on the Jaeger-LeCoultre 920 IBOS. And the IBOS, this particular IBOS, back in '94, when a lot of the top watches were used movements from somebody else. In particular, some of the really best ones from Jaeger-LeCoultre. By the way, too, this is one of the reasons I have not only a soft spot, but really admire Jaeger-LeCoultre watches, because they started off as a movement maker, and were making movements for all these different companies, including the Holy Trinity. And so anyway, so the JLC 920 was they'd only sell it to Vacheron Constantin, Patek Philippe, and Audemars Piguet. It has a very unusual frequency. It's 19,800 semi-oscillations per hour. That's 2.75 hertz. It's sort of different. I happen to like it because I like the lower frequencies. 40-hour reserve. And then on the inside of the rotor, they have a little thing commemorating. They have 1594 to 1994. Anyhow, that's sort of the look of the movement, which doesn't look, it's just pretty simple looking movement, really, from the outside. However, the interesting thing is on the inside, where you have, and it's on the dial side, is where you have all of the really interesting action. You have this great big snail cam, and the snail cam, I better take this thing off so I can see if I can show you a little better here. The snail cam is used on the, let's see now, what side is it on? The hour hand is on this side here. On the crown side, you have the minutes, and so the arm goes up minutes. Is this difficult to read? Once you get used to it, no. But it does take a while to get used to it. And so you have one arm with the minutes, and you have the other one, well, it's the other way around. The other one with the minutes, and then the other with the hours. I think that's right, yeah. And what happens is that giant snail cam, if I guess I don't know if you can, how much of a close-up you can get, but on the snail cam you see these little bumps. And so whenever there's and the snail cam is moving this way, and then you have the secteur de which is the sort of like it follows the snail cam around as it changes. And so you can see those little bumps, and each bump is an hour jump. And so you have a jumping hour. So as each new hour comes, it goes into one of those little valleys on the snail cam. And then once it comes all the way around, you have that big drop, and so that's the retrograde of the hour hand. Now the minute hand, you have more of a drag on it than it's rather than a jump. Each one of the minutes, as it's going along, the minutes just sort of like a regular watch, I guess, a regular hand, a non-jumping minute hand is what it is. But it has a retrograde, and so once it hits 60, it jumps back, and that mechanism that they have for it is what it does. At the top up here, you see that this is the top, where you can see in the middle you have a gear that everything else, I think, is running off of that gear to some extent, because that's where your normal hour and minute gearing would come from, right up the center. But since they have the pivot points, or the post for the pivot, up here at the top of the hands, they had to have something to go up, and this is the mechanism they used to get it. So rather than saying, oh, this is just a fixed up Jaja Lecoultre 920, it's a lot more than that. Now, to set it, a lot of people wonder, well, how do you set this thing? And so this next little section will show you how it's set. In order to set the Mercator, you do it pretty much like any other watch. You pull out the stem a little, one stop, and then you just turn this, and it goes through, starting from 0, goes up to 60, and then back again. And each time this one jumps back this way, the hour hand, this is 12 hours, just like on a regular watch. Every time it goes around, it comes back. And so you do this, and it's just to set it. Now, after 12 hours, it jumps back all the way to the starting point. So right here you have, this is either 12 noon or 12 midnight. And then to set it for the time you want, just like any other watch. Right now the time it's 8:05. Now this is where things get a little tricky. 7, 8, so it's 8 on the hour hand, and then hitting 05 would be the little dot between the 0 and the 10, and then just push it in, and you're all set. Easy peasy. The next thing that we have is that we have Geraldus Mercator. Who was this guy? To me, the most interesting thing in reading about him was that he lived during the time, it was an age of conflict, huge conflict, and religious conflict was at the center of it. The Reformation came about by Martin Luther. He was a Catholic priest, and he said, look, the church has gone rotten on us. Man, back then they were nuts about religion. I mean, if you didn't go along with them, they'd burn you at the stake and do all kinds of terrible things. I think even he was thrown in jail at one time because they didn't think that anybody as smart as he was couldn't be religious. I don't know what it was, but he was smart because he's talking to these other people who were also very smart, and that if they said something that went against what the church's dogma, they could get in serious trouble. And so he never wrote that down. There were a lot of things he didn't write down because that was how you got in trouble. Had all of these great conversations, and so they threw him in jail, and they went through all of his papers, and there was nothing there, and so they let him go. This is the kind of time, and to be an intellectual during this period was very, very difficult. And his maps really helped revolutionize map making, and not only were they important for the navigation, but they were important for political reasons because of the dukes and the kings and the other emperors and so forth. They wanted an accurate map of what their territory was. And he got out of a lot of scrape because he had some powerful clients. So he's a very interesting guy, really fascinating. I think he died, he was in his 80s, so he had a long life. There's a picture of him with one of those compasses. Now, the thing that he's most famous for is what was called the Mercator projection. And what he did, he took the globe. He also made globes as well. Here's a copy of one of his maps that he made. He was a great map maker, and but he also made globes. Well, he decided that what he would do, he would take a round globe and then flatten it out. And when he did that, this is called the Mercator projection. And you can see a lot of maps still today. You'll see maps that look like this. Well, the problem is that you've got Antarctica looking huge, and the same thing with Greenland. And while it's a nice, you can see these lines, that you can follow these lines in a straight line that are actually curving around the Earth. There's sort of advantages and some big disadvantages to it. But it was something that could have a flat map, and that was important. Those countries and continents near the equator, like Africa, they're the most accurate in terms of relative size. But you get up into northern part of the Americas, North America, Greenland, or further south from the equator, and everything is out of proportion. This was the way he did it. He basically imagined he have a cylinder, and he pushed the globe in the cylinder and then squashed it, and then came out on the cylinder. It was printed on the cylinder. Well, this is what a Mercator projection essentially looked like, and what this one map shows, you can see the equator when it has little balls, and as you go north and south from it, everything gets out of whack proportionately to their actual size. And that's why Africa and the northern part of South America and a good part of Australia is pretty much, relative to their accurate size. So that's my Mercator. It's been a joy. It keeps wonderful time. I set it and reset it and play with it and so forth. And it takes a while to learn how to use it, but it's not much. I mean, it's just sort of a different way of looking at time, and one I am very, very glad that I was able to get one. Be curious to know what you think of it, and it's an opportunity to subscribe if you like. Until next time, this is Bill Sanders for Watch Art Sci, the art and science of watch collection.